Over here we have the tape machines. This is a Tascam MS-16. It's a 16-track tape machine and it uses 1-inch tape, and I really like it. It's been an interesting experience getting this because this is the first pro machine that I've ever worked on. So I had to learn a lot about calibrating the machine and what an MRL tape is, and it was something I kind of pieced together as far as all the information I could find. I'm also going to make a video about how to do that.
Equalization per IEC Publication 94, Amendment 1, 1971.
And try to consolidate everything that I learned into one short video. The 16 outputs from this machine go over to the patch bay and they're normaled into the inputs of the interfaces. I can get levels and track the tape, but then all that goes straight into Pro Tools, and from there I can use the ADAT outputs on the interfaces to send a signal into the other room for headphone mixers. And then it also allows me to mirror the screen in that room, so I can be in there like playing an instrument and I can see the Pro Tools monitor on the wall, and I can adjust levels on preamps that are in there, and I get a good idea of what it's doing when it hits the tape machine. And so far that's worked pretty well. Over here is the first tape machine I got. This is a TEAC A2340SX. It's a 4-track tape machine and it takes a 1/4-inch tape. So you can actually track on this, or you can mix down to it. So there is an actual plate under the house. From the board, the aux send I have normaled into a gate which can be taken in or out, and then through the delay which can be taken in or out, and then to that power amp. From there it sends a signal out of the speaker outputs to a little small what's it called? Tactile stimulator thingy. It acts like a speaker. It's a it's right there. Transducer. That's what it is. So that transducer sticks onto the metal plate that's under the house. Then there is a microphone that sticks to the plate as well, and that signal comes back in to this mixer. This is a little Mackie board, and it has phantom power, so it powers that microphone. It has an input trim level, and it has a low cut, and it also has a 3-band EQ. What I really like about it is I have the one microphone that sends the signal back in. I leave it panned to the center, and I take the 2 outputs from the board and run it back into the aux returns on the X desk. So I get a stereo return. Kind of a roundabout way of doing it. And if you're working in the box a lot, I would probably just recommend finding a plug-in you like, honestly. But it's kind of a novelty thing, and I got it from a guy that built it himself, and I fucking like it. So there. So this is the tracking room now. It used to be my bedroom, but it is not anymore. Obviously the ceiling is what took the most time to get done, so this room was actually more time consuming than the first one. But I knew I needed a second room so I could track separately and have that control room in there to monitor and mix from without having to cram drums into one room with all that other stuff. So I wasn't sure exactly what I was going to do in here, but I just started, again, I pulled sheetrock. There was no insulation, but I did add some outlets like I did in the other one. And I did not use a mass-loaded vinyl this time. I just put back rock wool insulation, and then I went back with this V-groove siding. It's kind of like a tongue and groove. The ceiling was the most time-consuming part, and I wasn't really sure exactly what I was going to do with that, but I cut the sheetrock out and left the exposed joists. The pitch of the roof goes this way. I thought about maybe doing a vaulted ceiling, or at least a partially vaulted, but then I decided against it ultimately. So I got a bunch of this Smootrock beadboard from a place in Natchez. This guy just like disassembles these types of old houses and salvages all this stuff. So on top of the joists, I laid these down face down. Nice mix of different colors. On top of that is another layer of that weed barrier stuff from the garden center, and then insulation on top of that. And there's a mix of rock wool and fiberglass and blown in insulation. And then I framed up with little 2x4 pieces. I cut at an angle on either side of these joists, and then used this T111 siding which is like a plywood. I faced it out with that. There's some molding at the top there, and then there's crown molding along this side under it. And then the same thing on this end too. And that makes it, you know, a cool look where it looks like it's going into the wall or something. So then this stuff here, there's a wider, it looks like a whitewash. This stuff runs on the lower part of the ceiling. Every other one is a piece of this V-groove siding, and it just so happens that that fits nicely in the groove of these big wide planks. And then there's some crown molding around where the wall meets the lower part of the ceiling. Corner molding on each side too, and the outside corners as well. This beadboard up here is, like I said, it's old. It's got a lot of old nail holes, and then where the tongue and groove come together, a lot of times there's pieces of it missing, you know. So you're not getting a good solid seal, you know, across the top there. There's gaps all in it. What I was hoping would happen, and I think what did happen, is instead of having a solid ceiling like sheetrock would be sealed off, this allows some ventilation and air movement, and it keeps sound pressure levels from building up being a small room. So you don't get a lot of small room problems because, you know, there's a way for it to kind of breathe, and honestly it kind of acts like a big bass trap. You have all that space above it where sound can just be in the attic and not so much in here. And I think between the, you know, all the wood surface for reflections, and then that whole ceiling, you know, attic bass trap type thing going on, and then cutting out the corners, the sound in here is better than I expected. The drums are going to be probably the loudest instrument in here, and drums in here sound incredible. I was really blown away. Thanks for coming by and taking a tour of the studio. Thank you so much. Oh my gosh. Oh, thank you. I want to do some more in-depth videos about different pieces of gear and things like that. Is anything in particular you want to know about? Leave it in the comments below, and that's it.